I've been fishing ever since I can remember, and it's a real passion of mine. I like to go fishing whenever I have spare time, which is scarce these days. This story happened several years ago, when I was 15. I live in the middle of nowhere, and there's a creek that runs through the woods beside my house. I went one afternoon after school had ended to fish in the creek. The creek is about a 1.5 mile walk through semi-dense forest. The walk began pretty normally. I have a path cut through the forest that leads straight to the creek, so I have no problems getting there. Once I arrived at the creek, I sat down on the bank and began fishing. After 30 minutes, I began hearing sticks break on the other side of the creek. I didn't move a muscle and strained my eyes, looking for the source of the noise. I saw turkeys walking through the low-hanging branches. I sat and just watched them for a minute, being careful not to spook them. All of a sudden, they flew into the air and towards me. They went over my head, which was weird because I knew they wouldn't usually fly towards something that had spooked them. I figured that maybe they had seen a coyote or wild dog on the opposite side of the creek. I'm also an avid hunter, and I was carrying a .22 caliber pistol on my hip in case I came in contact with a predatory animal. I unholstered my pistol and stood up, being very wary of my surroundings. Then I saw a man standing behind a tree, probably 50 yards away from the opposite side of the creek. I could see his left eye and scraggly long brown hair sticking out from behind a pine tree. My heart dropped down in my stomach. As I said, I live in the middle of nowhere, so nobody should have been that far back in the woods. I began to sweat, thinking of what to do. I didn't think that the man knew I had seen him, so I bent down, grabbed my tackle box and fishing pole, and began walking away at a normal pace. I had a pistol, but I didn't want to have an altercation with the man because I was unsure if he was armed. I looked behind me about every 10 steps, trying to see if I was being followed. Then I began to hear loud, almost thunderous footsteps. He was running and gaining on me. I began to sprint. I'm a pretty athletic guy, and I managed to maintain my lead on him. I only had about a 1/4 mile left to go when I heard the footsteps begin getting closer. I had no idea how the man was gaining speed after running almost a mile. I knew that I had to do something. I unholstered my pistol, turned around, and fired 2 shots in the man's direction. He stopped as fast as he could and began sprinting the opposite direction. I fired 1 more shot just in case, then I kept running. I finally got to my house, locked all of my doors, and ran to my bedroom. I was home alone, so that meant I had to defend myself or call the police. I didn't call the police because I wasn't sure if they would believe me, so I took my 12-gauge shotgun out of the gun safe and sat at the kitchen table. I waited for what felt like forever, waiting for something to happen. I finally heard my dad's car coming down the driveway. I ran outside to tell him what had happened. My dad insisted that we should go look for the man, so that's what we did. I never saw the man again, but I haven't been to that creek since. Oftentimes, I wonder where he came from and what he planned on doing if he ever caught me.